With the release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we now have 13 Spider-Man and Spider-Man character-related movies in all of cinema. So, in this video, I'm going to be ranking all 13 movies, going from the bottom to the top. So, let's get into it. Like I said, there's a total of 13 Spider-Man and Spider-Man related character movies that we have all in cinema. So this is going to be basically a ranking of all the Spider-Man movies, just the main Spider-Man movies, and we also have the Spider-Man character movies with like Morbius and the Venom movies also going to be in this ranking. I'm going to be ranking this from the bottom to the top. This is just my opinion. This is what I think and how I feel on these movies. You could totally have a different opinion. If you do, let me know down in the comments below how would you rank these movies. But let's go ahead and get started into this video. Coming at the bottom is going to be number 13 with Morbius. Morbius is basically on the consensus that this is a bad movie, and I'm not gonna say it's a good movie. It's not a good movie at all. It's not, to me, it's not necessarily a bad movie. This is just a okay, meh, lower tier kind of movie. I don't get a lot of entertainment out of this movie, but I think it's still at least watchable, and then some aspect of it is watchable. But this is one I definitely didn't really get into as much. I recently watched it leading for this ranking, and of course Across the Spider-Verse release. Recently watched it, and I was literally on only my second time watching it ever. Like, I watched it the one time in theaters. This was my second time actually watching it. I still kind of feel the same way, that it's just a meh, watchable kind of movie. Not very good. Moving on to the number 12 spot, and that's going to be Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This is the sequel to the first Venom movie, and this one is a little bit more watchable than Morbius, I would say. I'm not going to say a little bit more entertaining necessarily, because, like, I mean, has some fun stuff about it, but it's, like, not necessarily, it's a movie I could just watch, and it'll just be watchable to pass time, I guess. I don't know how to describe this movie necessarily. It's just, has fun spots, not necessarily a movie I come back to. This was probably my second, I don't remember, it was like my second or third time watching it again recently, since I saw it in theaters. So, like, it's not a movie I go back to typically. It's not necessarily one I like to watch. Like, Venom is okay in here, Carnage is just okay, but it's still the aspect to where those characters are not really living up to their full potential for me. And I think Woody Harrelson did a good job as Cletus Cassidy with that whole psychotic manner and all that stuff. But it's still not everything I want to see from a Venom and Carnage kind of battle and everything like that. Like, this movie has fun spots, but overall, just okay, watchable movie. Moving into the number 11 spot, and that's going to be the first Venom movie. This is kind of along the lines of this Venom Let There Be Carnage, where it's like, it has fun spots, a little, at least more watchable, a little bit more entertaining than Venom Let There Be Carnage, but not by that much. I don't really like this whole thing that Sony is doing with turning their Spider-Man villains into anti-heroes or villains per se. I know Venom has sort of become an anti-hero in the comics and stuff, but, like, he did start off as a Spider-Man villain, which is how I would like to see him in a movie, as starting off as a Spider-Man villain. Like, I want to still see a full-blown Venom villain type of Venom in a movie, live action form. Like, I still want to see that. I still want to see that classic battle between a villain type Venom and Spider-Man going up against Spider-Man. I want to see that in the movie. With this movie, we just get the sort of anti-hero scope of Venom, where it's like he's just doing what he does just to, like, he's basically played out as the hero, the protagonist of this movie, and it's like, sure, that's fun to watch, but it's like, I want to see that other scope of villain where he's just a straight up villain, Moving on into the number 10 spot, and that's going to be Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I know this movie gets a lot of bad rap behind it, but honestly, I think this movie is fine. Like, it's fine, watchable movie. I could still have some fun and some entertainment with it, and still be able to watch it and kind of enjoy it a little bit. Now, it does have I think it has a lot of good redeeming qualities, but there is also a lot of bad qualities about it, which brings it down even more for me. The whole scope of pushing a lot of threads and plots into this movie and pushing a lot of things to set up future movies is what really brings this movie down for me a little bit more. If they would have one villain like Electro, if they just focus on Electro as the one villain, I think they can focus in on that story against Spider-Man and Electro. I think this would have been or at least a lot better than trying to push all these other things to set up other future movies and future spin-offs and all that. I do like a lot of things they're able to do in this movie still. I think the score is great in this movie. I think the aspects or the relationship between Peter Parker with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, their whole relationship dynamic in this movie is really well done, and applause to both actors for being able to make that come across on screen. Honestly, in my opinion, they probably have the best relationship out of all the relationships that we've seen in Spider-Man movies. So that's really good in this movie. A lot of the POV shots that we get from Spider-Man swinging, like the Spider-Man swinging scenes in this movie and in the first Amazing Spider-Man movies, are some of the best in all Spider-Man movies, in my opinion. I like all these point of view shots that we get from him swinging, and it just looks so cinematic and epic looking at these scenes when he's swinging throughout the city of New York and all that stuff. So it's a lot of great things coming in with that. And like, just like I said, pushing these, the thing that brings it down a lot is just some aspects of pushing things into this movie, trying to set up other stuff for other movies and spin-offs and all that stuff. I think that's what brings it down a lot. Maybe Goblin wasn't really needed in this movie, but nonetheless, with that Goblin being in this movie, it gives us that one part towards the ending where I kind of like it, to where it shows us shows us a sort of not characteristic, but an aspect of Spider-Man in general, to where Gwen Stacy is dead. It shows us the Spider-Man going through all those months of pain, and just seeing how Andrew Garfield's able to act that stuff out really shows how great he is at acting and all that, and bringing those scenes to life, and giving us that pain and that struggle of losing Gwen Stacy. But in the end of the movie, when we get that last shot where he actually comes back as Spider-Man, and that last shot with Rhino, honestly, that whole setup, that ending setup, honestly, in my opinion, is actually really good, and I actually do like it. Coming in at the number 9 spot is going to be Spider-Man 3. Now, Spider-Man 3, I have nostalgia for because I was young when I actually did watch this movie in theaters. Sure, it's not as good as some of the other Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but I still am able to watch this movie and still get some entertainment and joy out of this movie. Sure, it's not very tight-knit story. I think they could have done a better job with just having Sandman as the villain and not pushing Venom in here and some other sort of stuff that they were putting in this movie. But still, I could get some at least entertainment and joy out of watching this movie. Coming at the number 8 spot is going to be Far From Home. Far From Home is probably, I don't think this is a bad movie, but it's definitely not a movie I tend to typically rewatch a whole lot. Like, I like the villain of Mysterio, and dealing with Mysterio and these scenes we get with him and all that, and the illusion stuff and all that is pretty cool in this movie. But I don't know, I think it's just the certain thing that drives me away from this movie a little bit is because just Peter Parker being away from New York and all that. I think maybe, I don't know exactly, but it's like I don't like it as much as some of the other Spider-Man movies, but it's still not a bad movie. I could still be able to watch this and like it and be entertained by it and all that. But it's just not one I typically come back and rewatch a whole lot. Moving at the number 7 spot is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. I think this one does a lot of great things. The things I said that made Spider-Man 2 good is more prevalent or more elevated in this movie, to where we get great swinging shots, we get great score, great character from Andrew Garfield playing Spider-Man. Honestly, he is great as Spider-Man. I think we get a great relationship between Spider-Man or Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in this one. Those beginning stages to where they start forming that relationship, I think is really well done between the two actors in this movie. And I think the Lizard is actually a pretty good villain to use. So I think I know a lot of people don't really give this one high praise or put it high on their list, but I still like this movie. I still can find good things about this movie, and I still can be able to enjoy this movie. Like, I still enjoyed it. I still feel the same way about it from the first time it came out when I first saw it in theaters. So I'm still able to find those good aspects in this movie. Coming at the number 6 spot is going to be Spider-Man Homecoming. This is the first Spider-Man movie that we get in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I like this movie a lot, giving us a more development with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think Tom Holland does a great job between balancing Spider-Man and Peter Parker together, and this film really shows it and puts that in the forefront. And I think this is really, the way it plays out, it really is the same vibe as like a John Hughes film. That's one of the things they were trying to go for, that they said that they were trying to sort of make a Spider-Man film that with the John Hughes vibe. And I think that they really did kind of achieve that with this movie, because that's where it kind of feels like. It kind of feels like if John Hughes was to make a Spider-Man film, that this would kind of be definitely on par and similar to the way he would make it. So it really does give off those John Hughes vibes. This one, I like it a lot. This one doesn't have as much action as some other Spider-Man movies, but it's still good. I think the Vulture is a very good villain in this one. Michael Keaton plays the Vulture so well in this movie. So I think this is definitely a good Spider-Man movie. Moving into the number 5 spot, and that's going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I recently watched this one, like, for the, I don't know, lost no track of how many times I actually watched this one. I like this movie so much. It's so enjoyable. It's fun to watch. Like, it's so rewatchable also, and just enjoyed this movie so much. And, like, I just really, really like this movie a whole lot. It's definitely was hard trying to kind of rank these top ones right here because they're all very close, like very close in ranking to me. But I got to put this one at this one spot because a lot of other stuff that we see in other Spider-Man movies, slight edge on it over this one. But I like this one so much. Like, I really like this one. It's so enjoyable, so rewatchable. Everything that we're able to get with Miles Morales and just opening up that whole multiverse aspect to this, and then getting just origin story, character development with Miles, getting a great villain in here, with Kingpin and Prowler and all that, and just a lot of great things with this one. The animation's great in this movie also. So a lot of great movies. This is definitely one of the best Spider-Man movies. Moving into the number 4 spot, and that's going to be the first original Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire from 2002. I enjoy this movie so much. I love this movie. I remember going opening weekend to this movie. I was a young child whenever this came out. I just remember going opening weekend and just being able to see this first ever live action Spider-Man movie that we got, and I enjoyed it so much. I love it so much. It still pulls on the nostalgia strings for me every time I watch it. So enjoyable, giving us this origin story of Peter Parker on screen and just being able to watch it. I like Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man. We get a great villain with Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, so iconic. So being able to see this movie come to life, it's so awesome. Giving us a great origin story, so watchable and rewatchable, and I just like this movie so much. So great, so amazing. Coming in at the number 3 spot, and that's going to be Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 does a lot of great things to elevate it above the first original Spider-Man movie, just slightly above for me. Slight edge on it. This one is so enjoyable to watch. I like it so much. You get a great villain with Doc Ock, with Alfred Molina. This one is able to dive deeper into the whole balancing of life with Spider-Man and Peter Parker, like with the way that they're able to show us the struggle to be able to balance life between just regular life, but with the addition of adding that onto that you're Spider-Man and all that. So it gives us all that great story within this movie of showing that with that, and it shows us why Spider-Man is one of the most relatable superheroes, and it just gives us that in this movie. Great story going on with this movie. I like a lot of things with this movie. Really enjoy this movie so much. I like it. Coming in at the number 2 spot, and I still get a kick out of this movie, and that's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. I know that this one might not have the specifically tight-knit story as some other Spider-Man movies, but I can still get a kick out of this movie because it is a Spider-Man love letter to fans. I enjoy this movie, still watch it to this day. Like, every time I watch it to this day, I can still get a kick out of it, still enjoy it a lot, and still be able to just watch it and be entertained by it, and be able to being able to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come back in this movie, and just so awesome to see them all together, all 3 live action Spider-Man together. It's awesome to see, and I enjoy this movie so much. I can still enjoy this movie and get a lot of fun out of it, get a good kick out of it still while watching it, even to this day. But coming at the number 1 spot, at least for now, it's going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This movie does a phenomenal job of elevating and improving on stuff and giving us more in-depth stuff upon the first movie of Into the Spider-Verse, giving us that relatability with Spider-Man and Miles Morales, where it shows his struggle of balancing life in general, but also with the added addition of being Spider-Man, being able to show us that in his struggle with balancing life, but upon also with that adding the additions of having a villain come in this movie with a spot, having an antagonist within Spider-Man 2099, opening up the whole Spider-Verse, multiverse aspect of this in there too, introducing us to new Spider people. All those things comes together into this one big story, and to actually realize too that it's just a part 1, and makes you want to, by the end of the movie, it makes you want to keep watching to see what else happens, makes you want to see that movie, the second movie already, Beyond the Spider-Verse. I was left amazed by this movie. The animation is great. It really was like a work of art come to life. Seeing the scene, like a masterpiece, really, and just It was an amazing movie. I enjoyed it so much. I like this movie. This one is definitely one I'm going to be rewatching a whole lot once it's out. So I liked everything they did about this movie. Very tight knit story, I believe, and just being able to bring us different things in this movie. So awesome to watch in theaters. Definitely might try to watch it again, but once it's out, it's going to be one I'm going to be rewatching a lot. I cannot wait for that. But this one is coming in at my number one for at least for right now. Time will tell if it stays at the top. But as of right now, number one is going to be Across the Spider-Verse because I enjoyed this movie so much. But let me know down in the comments below how would you rank these movies if you could, all 13 movies, or at least how would you rank some of the Spider-Man movies for you. But that's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.